Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation. According to the United Nations, the country is expected to be the world's third most populous nation by 2050, with more than 300 million people. In recent years, the number of people looking for jobs has been rising steadily as population growth continues to outpace output expansion. Unemployment is one issue still confronting Nigeria as a nation, especially the youths. A report by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigerians' unemployment rate as of the end of 2020 rose to 33.3% from 27.1% recorded as of second quarter 2020, indicating that about 23 million Nigerians remain unemployed. When combined with underemployment, it amounts to 55%, that is, 60% of unemployed Nigerians being youths. The expectation of any graduate after school is to secure a well-paying job, but the reality in Nigeria's labor sector has proven otherwise, as it is hard to get a meaningful job after the mandatory National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) program.
Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Femi Michael, a graduate of statistics in Abia State Polytechnic, is one out of many Nigerians who have scouted for a job for many years after graduation. He narrated his ordeal for 2 to 3 years searching for a job and how he almost committed suicide when he took a loan for a business that was raised by fire.
We're in a country where almost everything is very difficult to get. I could remember vividly there was a day I wasn't having money on me, and then because I wasn't gainfully employed, and I wrote a deck of application letters trying to distribute. So I went out submitting applications from one company to the other, one office to another, and eventually I discovered that I've gone too far. Yeah, from Ojudubega to Ikeja to Ogba, and I was so tired. So I needed to come back home since I stay around Ojudu, but the strength was exhausted, so I was very tired, and then I had to approach someone in his shop for the first thing first. I told him I needed water, and he saw the look on my face, and I was like, okay. He went in, got me water to drink. I drank and I sat down to relax. Long story short, he happened to be the person that gave me the money for my transportation back home. So at that point, it dawned on me like, no, guy, you can't continue like this. Like I said, at the time, I even contemplated suicide because when I ventured into a business, I lost money. It was like everything was gone. Yeah, like the Balogun market, which I ventured into, fabrics business. It wasn't up to 2 months I started that business in collaboration with a friend. That fire raised down the whole place and we didn't even come out with a pin. So I loaned money, I took a loan from several places, and the pressure on me was so much. I felt like, like I say, you go end up more, the embarrassment, the stress. But we thank God we're here today. Yeah, we didn't give up.
While advising the young people to think of an escape route in the midst of the unemployment crisis, he pointed out that the problem is not only with the leaders, but with the minds of the most Nigerians.
Talking about those in power, no matter how much advice I dish out here, I'm sure they have heard more and more. I don't think there's any of them that can have a repentant heart because their mind is made up. We all know they are selfish. and self-centered. And it is not just because of, this is not limited to those up there alone. An average Nigerian is selfish. An average Nigerian is self-centered. So if we're looking at tackling our problems, we shouldn't be looking at it like it is very, very far from us. Like these are the people up there who are doing this, who are doing that. No, let's look within, around us. How do we attend to issues? How do we even treat ourselves to start with? Basically, a typical Nigerian wants to do business with you. What they have in mind, or primarily in their mind, is, I want to benefit from this person. Or let me use the general word. A typical person wants to cheat you. So this is just my advice. Wherever you are, whatever it is you're facing, you are jobless, you haven't been employed, you are not gainfully employed, look for something you can do. Anything at all. It might look stupid, but you discover that over time, people will get used to it. And before you know it, it will fetch you money.
Unemployment is an enabler of so many issues like migration. Some people simply leave the country in search of greener pastures. Some Nigerians on the streets of Lagos share their thoughts on the scourge of unemployment.
Since this year now, I've been looking for a job. I've not seen any. I've tried so many places to look for a job, but I didn't see. So many places have been, so many criteria for you to get a job, and the ones that you're supposed to get, they didn't give. I pray government should try to give us job, because this election is coming up now, that we should campaign for them. But before the campaign, they should try to help the masses, because the masses are suffering so much that so many atrocities happening in this country.
I won't think it twice. I don't jackpot with that. I'm tired. I have to go. In fact, if you can give me right now, I won't have to say my parents before flying. Why do I have to leave the country? Are you sure you're in Nigeria? If you're in Nigeria, you're not supposed to ask me that kind of question, because we know how everything is right now. As we speak, a liter of diesel is 850,000. Wait till they buy 330 last month. I mean 2 months time. I buy on 330, now it's 850. Does it make sense? In a country that we have presidents, we have all of them. I beg, if you get visa anywhere, Israel, anywhere at all, I go. Please, governments, whosoever that are leading us, they should help us, give us what we need, employment, and they should hear the masses, hear the poor masses. We are suffering. Things are hard.
80% of the masses are home on the streets. You can look at the youths on the streets smoking, constituting nuisance, not just because they like what they are doing, but because of bad governance. It's just so unfortunate that the government of the day are more of themselves, they are more of their pocket. They don't think of the interests of the populace, the interests of the masses, forgetting so soon that we were the one that voted them in. So if I'm opportunity to travel, I will travel without even coming back.
We don't have a working system in this country that can make you, envision for the future that this is what I want to become 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to come. We don't have that kind of thing in Nigeria. The platform is, I don't understand, disorganized. So I will travel.
I don't think of running away from my country. I think of making Nigeria better. So if I have opportunity to make Nigeria better, fine. If I go there, get enough money, I come back, establish others people so that we can all live in peace.
I would rather leave the country than getting a job here, actually, because here there's no job, and like the security here is nothing to write home about, and even the currency rate is actually very terrible. So I would rather leave this country.
What could be responsible for ever increasing unemployment rate in Nigeria?
Hello. Hi, sir. How are you?
Muda Yusuf, an economist, explains that micro, small and medium enterprises, which are said to be the engine of growth and job creation, have not been allowed to thrive.
Over the last few years, we have seen serious challenges around the macroeconomic environment, challenges around galloping inflation, depreciating exchange rates, high interest rates, and the like. All of these macroeconomic variables have been impacting negatively on businesses, particularly small businesses. We all know what the challenges of access to electricity is. We have never had it so bad as far as electricity is concerned, particularly with this frequent collapse of the national grid. The high rate of unemployment, high and increasing rate of unemployment, let me put it that way, is a time bomb. So if you have this very energetic, sometimes restless group of your population that are not properly engaged, it's a major problem for any society. It's a major risk to security. It's a major risk to the social stability of any environment. So if we say that we are having problem of insecurity, if we say that we are having challenges of the risk of social unrest, it's as a result of this demographic structure and the fact that many of those in this youth age range are unemployed or underemployed.
But the human resource professional Shola Odeyinde believes that the core problem here is not unemployment, but rather the unemployability of graduates in the country. She blames the education sector on outdated school curriculum that only produces graduates with no basic employable skills and quality.
There are jobs, there are vacancies, there are opportunities in the private sector, public sector. But where are the people? Where are the qualified people? I like to tell a story. You know, I worked in this organization where this organization has been around for 20 years, over 20 years. And so at the time, we were making a transition from the building where we were to another building. And guess what? We started to, pack up CVs, curriculum vitae of candidates who have applied in this organization over the years. They were all hard copies. And so we moved all those hard copy CVs into stacks of Ghana Must Go. Guess what? We had over 10 Ghana Must Go's full of CVs. Now, these CVs are not just paper. These CVs are people. They are graduates who submitted their CVs in search of job opportunities. What did I do? I said, oh, this is data. We should use those people. We should enter all this information into the system and call these people up, categorize them in areas of specialization, because we are constantly looking for people. And we did just that. And guess what? I had an interview. I invited a lady for an interview, and she comes in and she says, oh, I'm so happy you guys still remembered me. I was here 7 years ago to drop my CV. And I was like, great. So can I have an updated copy of your CV since you dropped this with me 7 years ago? Guess what I saw? The lady brings out the same copy of CV that I have, which she dropped 7 years ago. Nothing has changed in terms of the qualification. Nothing has changed in terms of the experience. Nothing has changed in terms of the training, the skills gathered. Now, the question I asked myself is, of course, I'm not going to hire this person because this is not a person given to continuous learning and development. And so I asked myself, now this person is not going to be hired. Now she's going to say there are no jobs. But the question is that true? Unemployability is being driven by something. It's coming from the educational sector because those people actually went to school. The question is what the quality of education that they have acquired. The academic curriculum is outdated. I was checking, when was the last time the academic curriculum was reviewed in Nigeria? When was the last time? We're using the same academic curriculum that our parents used, so to speak, that were passed down to us. And the question is, are those skills still relevant? You know, the world of today, globalization, there are lots of trends changing. In fact, the trends are changing by the day, not even by the years anymore.
There's also the angle of unemployment being an enabler of insecurity, which shows that lack of jobs drive youth to engage in all sorts of activities that cause banditry, killings, kidnappings, and other related acts. A security consultant and analyst, Onyekachi Adekoya, weighs into this, especially as it poses great danger to the nation and the economy.
If you follow the incidence of crime in the country, you would almost find that the northern part of the country, which seems to have the highest rate of unemployment and underemployment are the place that is most awash with issues of crime. If you then dive further a bit, you look at the rural to urban migration, the fact that civilizations or modernization has driven people out of the rural community, out of farming, with a drift into the urban areas in search of better means of livelihood. What that now means is that the youth population in the rural areas are quite alarmingly decreasing. So you then have more older people who have all their lives been farmers, not even able to defend themselves or then muster the force to keep the community safe. Any country that cannot gainfully engage its youths, like the president said when he was campaigning in 2014, that there's an army of youth who may one day mob and begin to stone the politicians, and we've seen that happen in recent times. So there's a lot of danger. Interestingly, the UNDP did a research to show that 7 out of every 10 person basically in the world today do not trust the government to be looking out for their own interests. And if you have that restless demography, which is the youth segment of society, having that sense of uncertainty of what the future holds, that in itself is like a keg of gunpowder, okay, waiting to explode. So I think those are the downsides of not managing or properly applying the energy of the youth to more productive ventures. So it's a big risk factor that any government, right-thinking government, should be able to do something about.
What are the feasible solutions to the unemployment in Nigeria?
For the short-term solutions, I think you can be looking at issues of policy. Policy doesn't take time to activate or to formulate or to adjust in order to be able to solve a problem. If you have the right policies, we can fix our macroeconomic environment. Most of the challenges around the macroeconomic environment are policy related, even though there may be some structural dimension, but they are policy related. Exchange rates and the state of our currency is a major challenge to many investors and to many businesses. With the appropriate kind of policy choice, we can moderate the volatility in the exchange rate. We can improve the liquidity in the foreign exchange market. We can attract a lot more foreign capital inflows to boost the supply side of our foreign exchange market. Now, for infrastructure, that could be medium to long term. It will take time to fix roads. It will take time to fix the rail system. But that, again, is also part of the solution. Because if the infrastructure environment is right, productivity in the economy will increase, investment will increase, and more jobs will be created. Data tells us that we have over 40 million MSMEs in this economy. Imagine if one of them can create one job. That's over 40 million jobs.
I have people resigning, and you ask them, where are you going? I'm relocating. Majority of our people who are skilled are relocating. They are leaving the country, and they are leaving the country for studies, right? These people gather all the money here and pay huge amount of money to get a master's. And of course, we all know that beyond getting a master's, they are not going to come back. They are going to stay there. They are going to stay there, and all the value that they have acquired here, that they are to put back into the organization, into the system and institutions here to make this country better. They are taking it over there, right? And no wonder a lot of Nigerians really succeed abroad. If you go to lots of international schools, you will see that the people who make it tops are mostly Nigerians in the schools. And so it leaves our organizations, you know, with that flight risk. And the economy is impacted because we run an economy that is skill-based, knowledge-based. Now, if they take all that skill and all the knowledge away from this country, imagine what we are left with. Are we enabled in Nigeria? The answer is no. We are not. We are not enabled. But are we helpless? The answer is no. We are not helpless. I say academic is general, education is personal. So the question is, after you have come out with that certificate, does it stop there? It shouldn't. So a lot of people are very proud of the BSc certificate, and that's great, but that's not enough.
What's stopping us from having state policing? It's just the constitution. What do we need to have state police? Review the Police Act. We're not yet running a fully federal system. And politics, the constitution, and the insincerity on the part of the political class is the reason why the issue of insecurity has not gone away. You can't effectively manage security in Nigeria using a unitary federal police force. For you to do that means that you will have a loss of local nuance and that local adaptability to local issues on ground in remote communities, you know, and so that lack of nuance is what we see at the national level. Again, we are plagued by the fact that our national security doctrine, not the architecture this time, so the doctrine deals with the body of theory and the body of principles upon which we predicate our national security posture, you know, or pursue national interests. Is not what it should be. The nation could be burning, but as long as Aso Rock is fine, as an example, the overall body language of those who are responsible for security may not be, you know, pretty much disturbed by what is happening. And that's evident in our current situation today, that the structure we currently run is not focused on the Nigerian citizen. You can have a state police, limit them to service pistols only. Limit them to shotguns. High caliber munitions, leave that with the federal police or tactical units. Okay, so what that will do is that will give federal forces a bit of a breather, and those forces will act as a force multiplier to the police. So what would that be as an advantage to people? You then have law enforcement closer to the place of the action, as opposed to we playing catch-up. In Nigeria, all we do is play catch-up.
They also pointed that what is worrying is the government's persistent inability to promptly respond to the socio-economic needs of Nigerians. Experts say it is imperative for the nation to prioritize investments in the youths and upskilling them for the jobs of the present, the future, and not the jobs of the past.